It's week 2. We seem to have finally settled on a theme for our game, at least. We're doing it in a space prison. I came up with the original idea of a prison, which I'm kind of proud of. And
I like space, so I'm proud of it too.
We're kind of debating if we want to have the player to be able to use gravity at the moment as a tool that they can use to interact with different things. But we're just kind of going down the different sort of features and mechanics and locations and storylines and all that sort of stuff at the moment. So this is week 2. This is what we're doing at the moment. So, Anand, are you excited about the prospect of a space prison?
Space prison.
He is. Curtis, what do you think about doing a game on the Oculus?
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one, but is it exciting?
Probably not.
It's a little bit exciting. Just a little bit.
A little bit.
So the first few weeks we actually spent most of the time just discussing what we wanted the game to actually be and feel like. And we knew pretty early on we wanted an escape game, since it meant we wouldn't have to worry about modelling any characters or having many animations, which were things that had, taken us quite a while in the past. We knew we wanted more exploration and more interactions than we had had in our previous games. That was something we were always thinking about. But mainly what we were discussing was, should we be building this for the Oculus or not? And we came to the conclusion that it would be really cool and it would be good to have an Oculus game on our portfolios, regardless of the fact that we'd never done it before or knew of any of the problems that would arise as we went on to make the game. We thought it would be a good idea to step out of that boundary and sort of try and do something we hadn't done before. I like that, and I like that then the radio is a link to another puzzle. But I feel that because this is already a link to another puzzle, we should add the radio to something else.
What is this link?
The fact that it's hacking, that you can't see this unless you've hacked already in the minigame. So then this means we have one aspect that is...
Mine's linked to this?
Yes, because you can't see this on the computer unless you've hacked into the computer. So the first action is hacking, and that's a minigame, and then you're presented with this. And so if we added the radio into it as well, that would be great. But then it means we probably can't use it elsewhere, and we have 3 other minigames that are currently just minigames by themselves. So if we have the radio scanner say, and
or
give
maybe,
you a hint
maybe just in a book, maybe you have, like in the cell there's like a bookshelf, and one of them is a physics book.
So yeah, this is week 2. I'm going to do that again and you're not going to laugh. So we've got a solid concept down for the game now, and we're all going to go off and we're going to do loads of work in our own time because we're super optimistic.
It's really cold for October.
No, it's chilly. It's winter time. Shut up!
What did we do?
Go to stop recording.
Okay, week 5. Just finished week 2. We have a solid game idea now. We've started to put together the overall level design layout. That's something I'm looking at with Curtis. So we're doing like a top-down view map of it. I'll probably show a snippet of that now. So yeah, since our game was going to have so much interaction, we had to plan everything out step by step and actually lay out the route we wanted the player to take as they went through the game. By this stage, we already knew that each of us were going to separately make our own minigame that would be an interaction in the game, and the player would go and perform and try and complete each of these minigames to sort of progress through the game. And each time they completed it, something else would happen in the game, like it would open a door, or it would turn on the power, or something like that. So we sort of had to outline all of that and see how they were all going to connect and how it was all actually going to work before we obviously started building it. Arnold is looking at one of the first minigame ideas. He's going to like program it all together. He's currently looking at something similar to like Frogger, but he wants something a bit more unique.
So, trying to recreate Frogger, trying to reinvent the wheel.
And I'm arguing that
how do you reinvent the wheel?
it's tough. The wheel has already been invented.
Can you make a square wheel?
That's what came first.
What about a triangle wheel?
That has never come because they just went straight to circles.
What about like a X-shaped wheel?
What about a wheel that's like hexadecimal sphere, like one with 20 sides, that's almost a circle?
Hexadecimal sphere is not a word.
Whatever, like a decicircummetal sphere. I don't know. Anyway, the girls, what are the girls doing? What are Haley and Emma looking at? A minigame?
Yes.
Haley and Emma are also looking at a minigame. Anyway, we have a solid idea. It's called Spazcatraz, which is like space Alcatraz. So we need the player to try and escape from a space prison. Next week it looks like we're going to finally be able to look at the Oculus for the first time. So
we're creating a game for something we've not even seen.
It's going to go well. We will see you next week. So we started week 3 realizing that there were actually a lot of holes in our level layout and that a lot of the things we wanted the player to do were sort of out of our scope and things we couldn't really do. So we spent a lot of the class actually just discussing what we think the player should do and how they should get around the level, which just sort of stimulated more conversation down avenues we didn't really need to discuss, and we wasted a lot of time that week talking about unnecessary things. Week 3 finished. We spent the majority of the day doing level design stuff, which was not all that fun. It was pretty difficult, pretty creatively frustrating.
So then how is that flood thing working?
We don't know yet. We'll tell you when we figure it out. We have like a layout of the level and we were trying to figure out. So my battery died, which was fun. But anyway, we were sent home after the hell of week 3 and we thought, let's get back in the groove here. So I was sent home with the task of writing up a new level layout and actually just being much more concise but also much more clear with all of it, and just writing exactly what every room was, what was found in every room, and exactly what the player was going to do in each of those rooms. And it really helped, I think, because we had a much better sense then of what the game was meant to be like going forward from that. So we came back in week 4 with a renewed sense of strength and unity, and I sat down with Adam and I finally started placing in the first objects in the actual game, which was fun. What are you working on? Anything to mention? I'm currently working on levels. Well, one level. Anand's looking at some UI. Talk to me. What are you thinking about the UI? So we were concerned it looked a bit too much like our old game, and you've slightly changed it.
Good idea, so.
Okay, now we've decided it's a good idea because consistency is key. We are Control Z Studios. You know the game as soon as the credits light up. Haley's working on some modelling. What are you working on?
Oh, I'm working on
The space door. That looks pretty spacey. That looks pretty good. Emma, what are you working on? Some of the main menu, looking good. We're all having fun. Curtis is getting some extra credit in. I'm putting together all of the walls for the level. So it's all good. Everyone will say goodbye. So, since no one wanted to talk to me or have any jokes with me, I went back to work and I spent most of the class just putting walls together. And I can tell you, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. It was mind-numbing work. But we had to do it, and it was just nice to finally be actually piecing bits of the level together instead of writing in Word documents. So I won't complain, even though I just did. So finally, after having all the walls put together, it looked a little something like this. We have 4 main rooms, all of which have these sort of connecting hallways. and we sort of funnel the player through all of these as the game goes on. Alright, so week 4 has just come to an end. Today we pretty much finished up doing all the design document and like the overall scope of what the game is going to be and what the narrative is and how the level is laid out. But for the last hour or so of the class, we finally started actually working on and implementing like the first key features. So Haley has started modelling some of the walls and the doors that we're going to piece together to make the level. We're starting to look at some of the UI stuff. We're starting to do some of the particle effect stuff with Steam. And I am finally starting to look at sound. So I've already put together a document kind of detailing what the sound needs to be and the main sound effects we need and what the music will hopefully be like, and just sort of an overarching document kind of detailing all of that. And now I'm actually going to go and find examples of both the music we want to play at all the different stages in the game and the sound effects that we want to use in the game as well. So that at the start of week 5 next class, I can show everyone the sort of style of music that I was thinking for the game, and then we can talk about if it's a good style or if people would like it to be different or anything. So I'm going to go through the sources I have to find some music, and I'm going to then go through the sources I have to find some sound effects, put them all together, whack them up on Confluence, and that's week 4. So here's a time lapse, and see you in week 5. See you in week 5. They're late finishers. I'm getting tired. See you in week 5. So the level design document that we slaved away at right in the first and second week finally came in handy, since I went back through it and I made a list of every single object that we needed a sound from in the game before hitting YouTube and finding examples of all of these that I could show to my classmates. I then had access to this royalty-free music library that you can see right now, and I just wanted to find examples of the sorts of music I wanted to be played during the game, so again I could show it to my classmates and then go away and start composing my own tracks. But we'll get to that in a little bit of time. So we went back for week 5, started chatting a bit more. Adam wanted more things going in the level, started putting some lights in and things like that. But this was actually the week after we put in and edited all of the lighting that Curtis and I started working on our own minigames. So once the level was somewhat built and was able to be then edited by a few other people, Adam started throwing in whatever he had. And it was actually starting to come together as a physical space that could be moved around, and it was much more easy to see how everything was then going to connect. It was actually quite nice. The game was slowly but surely starting to come together. Okay, I promise this is the last time-lapse Word document. So this design document was all about what is the pressure valve minigame and how does it work. I had to actually outline how the game was going to work and, you know, what phases would be there and what the actual gameplay was and what artwork I needed and all this sorts of stuff before I started making it. Others be good to ya. Okay, hello everybody. Hello everybody. It is week 6, I think. It's Tuesday, the 10th of November. I think it's week 6. I'm losing track a little bit, I'll be honest. We had our class earlier today, and I spent all class working on the minigame I'm making, which is this pressure gauge, where the red arrow is going to be rotating backwards, forwards, left and right, and the player is going to have to make it stop inside these various green zones that you can see around the dial. And there'll only ever be one green zone that will appear, and there are going to be 2 difficulties. One that's easier, which is why there are 3 of these green zones that are wider, and then one difficulty which is harder, which is why you can see 3 of these green zones are more narrow. And I spent all day in class just coding, not even that much. So that's what I'm doing currently. I wanted to keep my minigame as simple as possible because I wanted to try and code as much of it on my own as I could. You haven't seen the game world for a little bit, but we will show you that next week. We've started putting in some triggers, and I've made a song, actually. That's the other thing I forgot to show you guys. I'll show you that next time as well, but I've made the first song, like background music that the player hears throughout the game, and I got some feedback from the rest of the class, so I'm going to start tweaking and iterating on that. I'm going to start working on this and see if I can get some gameplay into it. Thank you, Adam! Thank you, Adam! Oh, thank you. Jeez, Louises. I thought this was going to be so much more difficult. I'm so confused about what I'm trying to do right now is turn the arrow. Currently the arrow rotates, you can see this. The arrow does rotate around 360 degrees and it doesn't stop and it just keeps on going. What I have been struggling with all class is how to limit the rotation to 2 points, i.e. the bottom of that blue semicircle, just so that the arrow is rotating backwards and forwards like this. And Adam said the word clamp. He didn't tell me that the clamp was a function, and he obviously didn't do that because he didn't want to give me the answer, but he said you're going to need to clamp the... He just used the word clamp, so I just searched for the word clamp in the Unity API, and it's come up with mathf clamp, which is a form of rotation that lets you limit that rotation between 2 angles. And that has made this so much easier, so thank you for that, Adam. Thank you for that little push in the right direction, because otherwise I would have been totally and utterly just not happy.
Waste me. This blood in the road breaks me. This blood in the road waste me.
Oh! Yes! Come on! Oh, no! Oh, fiddlesticks. Fiddlesticks. Okay, well that was still... Oh! That was still good, that was still good. Come on, come on, come on! Woo-hoo! Yes! I can't tell you how happy I am that I've managed to make this work. I can't tell you. So what you're hearing right now is one of the tracks that I ended up making in GarageBand for the game. And I've actually managed to find the sheet of paper that I wrote down all of my notes on when I made this. And I've written down that I wanted a track that was not scary but chilling, not loud but intense, not sad but strange, and not spooky but eerie in a weird sort of way. I had a lot of fun doing this because our game isn't a horror game, but it is a bit creepy, but not in the way that a horror game is creepy. In the same way that games like Gone Home or like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture have a sort of curious and sort of chilling soundtrack to them. I wanted something that wasn't scary inherently, but definitely something that made them feel almost uneasy as they were exploring the environment that we had set up for them. It's week 9? It's week 9 or 10?
I don't know what week it is anymore.
It's week 9 or 10. We haven't done one of these for a while.
We're losing track of time.
We've had a break. We've done 3 hours. I've just written a code that fades audio, because we have 3 audio tracks that get played as you get moved through the level, and they're audio tracks that I made, and that script will help it fade between as you go through the level essentially. Arnold has been working on his minigame. He is still working on the Fogger thing, but it's almost complete. Can we see a test thing? We will in a minute. We'll come back. Curtis is, if you want to set it up for me quickly, Curtis is working on some audio things of his own for his own minigame, which is coming along very nicely. It's almost done. And if you'd like to press play, we got some script errors. Okay, so we can show you that later. Haley, Emo is working on what looks like some 2D artwork for their minigame. Still lots of minigame stuff going on, basically. I think that's about it. That's everything. First update for a while. Curtis, Anand, do you want to say anything?
I love you guys.
Very sweet. Anand, would you like to follow suit? He would not. Anand, can I ask you today's date?
Mm-hmm. Today is yesterday's date. I don't know what day, what year is it? Jan 12th.
approximately
Jan 12th, 2016.
approximately how many weeks have we been in this class for? And
15 weeks, 16 weeks, I don't even know what is time.
Curtis, in light of that conversation, what were you just doing?
Oh, yes, Oculus Rift.
Come on. That's okay.
How do you feel?
This is awesome. Oh, whoa. Oh, this is awesome. It's like so real. It's like so real. It's so cool. So in case you didn't realise, this was the first time we were cracking the Oculus out of the box. And we were just 1 week away from finishing class. So this class was pretty exciting for that reason. But for the rest of it, we were all just bug testing and sort of putting all of our work together into one build. So that at the end of the class we could play through the game and sort of see where it was and what the final things were that we needed to have in the game for the final week. And I did not make one single design decision with the thought of the Oculus spurring me on, and that's terrible. But that was just what happened. So I don't feel at all like we've made a game for the Oculus. I feel like we've made a game that you use mouse and keyboard for, and we're now going to be able to build it and play it on Oculus, and that'll be quite cool. But I don't really feel comfortable in telling people I've made a game for the Oculus because I don't feel like I have.
Okay.
The thing is as well, we started off thinking about what mechanic would work with the Oculus, and we were thinking of like all these different things that we could use with it. And that was almost then why we did almost say it was a good idea to do it, because we were thinking of doing things with gravity, and we were thinking of, there were loads of different things that everyone was shouting up about, but every one of them was a bit too difficult to actually implement. And then we just made a game that was kind of like Cloud Falls but less scary and had these mini games in it,
Yeah.
which is still cool, but it's not what we intended to make at the beginning, which I think is the main issue.
Yeah, I think everyone sort of wanted to do like a game where
Interactable.
someone, interactable, exploring a room, exploring
Yeah.
a certain limited area sort of game, and we figured that a prison escape sounds like player would have enough places to explore,
Yeah.
enough actions to perform, a good mix of everything.
And then you have fair enough intention to explore.
Yeah.
Because you were.
What do I think is the best thing in the game? I think the best thing in the game
It's color match.
is the mini games and how they all actually have an effect in the gameplay. Color Match is without any shadow of a doubt the best mini game. It has the most going on. It's made for the Oculus. That's without a doubt the best thing in the game. But the fact that we've made a game that is a culmination of lots of little different experiences is something I really like, because before it's just been like in Cloud Falls, it was like, okay, our main mechanic is to throw bottles and sneak past people, and that was the gameplay for however long you wanted to play the game for, and it never differed from that. And Tomato vs Tomato, which was fun and again in its own way, was just this: you played the game for 5 seconds and that was the experience, and it was just, if you enjoyed that, then you'd have a great time with it. But with this, there were so many different things to experience, not even with the mini games, like trying to get through the maze in the boiler room and figuring out, I guess, what connects to what is all something that we haven't really used as a gameplay sort of mechanic in the other games we've made in the past. So I guess that would be the fact that we've made all of those little experiences into this one sort of umbrella experience. Why did you choose? Here we go. Why did you choose to let the player move at staggered intervals instead of just a smooth movement through the level?
Okay. So the minigame was inspired by Frogger. Frogger equal to arcade. And I feel that the staggered movement is more similar to that style of play where you have to keep hitting the button instead of just holding it and sliding along. And I wanted to replicate that feeling, and that is why I kept it as staggered movement.
Do you think it makes the game harder?
Yes, I feel it's a bit more frantic, which I want the player to feel at this point, that there is urgency, and I think that's a huge reason why I wanted it this way.
I'm joined now by Curtis Shen, designer of the Color Match minigame. Curtis, how are you?
I'm doing great.
What made you come up with the color match idea?
I was just about to ask that. Good question.
So in the beginning, because we decided to build an Oculus Rift game, so I want to make a game that can use the Oculus to play and it's more fun. But based on our skill, we cannot do the game that really realistic, have really high detail quality game. So I want to make the mechanic itself fit with the Oculus. So the first idea I want the mini game is not only you see the UI, it's the game that you stay in a room and the whole process you have to look around all the room to play this game, to beat the game. That is the first idea. Then that will fit the Oculus Rift.
So thanks everybody's help.
Yeah,
Us and
it's been a great one. Curtis, anything to add instead of
my
just
God, I'm
sitting
gonna
back there?
and we all have a very good understanding with each other.
We do.
Yeah. It's very good experience. And we are best team.
We are a very good team.
During the whole year. Yeah.
And what is the team name?
Control Z Studios!